Mike Thompson didn't think much about walking Harper Dalton to her locker that morning. He was just a regular 16-year-old, helping the new girl get to class without the usual chaos of the hallway. But as he rounded the corner, he froze. 3 senior students, Mason Klein, Tyler Reese, and another boy whose name Mike didn't catch, cornered Harper, laughing like they owned the school. "Move aside, little girl," Mason sneered, shoving Harper's books from her arms. Mike's chest tightened. He didn't hesitate. Before Harper could say anything, he stepped in front of her, his voice steady but loud enough to cut through the hallway noise. "Back off," he said. Mason laughed and threw a punch. Mike felt the sting as it connected with his shoulder, but he didn't flinch. He clenched his jaw and held his ground. Harper's eyes were wide, terrified, but she didn't try to step forward. She trusted him. The bell rang, but nobody moved. Students paused, watching the confrontation. Mike's mind raced. I can't let them hurt her. Not today, not ever. After what felt like an eternity, the seniors finally backed away, muttering insults under their breath. Harper brushed past Mike, her hands trembling, her books scattered across the floor. Mike stooped to pick them up, handing them to her carefully. "Thanks, Mike," she whispered. Before they could move, Mason shot one last glare, clearly promising this wasn't over. Later that day, Harper's father, Gage Dalton, arrived at home to find his daughter rubbing a bruise on her arm. Dalton wasn't just any father. He was the leader of a tight-knit biker club, respected and feared in equal measure. "Harper, what happened?" Gage asked, his voice calm but carrying a weight that made her flinch. They were bullying me," Harper admitted, showing him the mark. "But Mike, he stepped in. He got hit for me." Gage's eyes narrowed. Mike, he thought. The boy had courage, maybe more than most adults. Picking up his phone, he dialed quickly. "Rook," he said into the receiver, "I need you to find out everything about Mike Thompson, his family, the school, even those kids' parents. Quietly. No one outside the club should know yet." Across town, Mason's father, Councilman Klein, was already on the phone with Sheriff Willis, plotting. "I want that boy Mike Thompson, quieted. Make life difficult for him. Call his job, his insurance, whatever it takes." Before we continue, I'm curious. Where are you watching this story from? Write your city in the comments. I read them all, and it's amazing to see how many people from around the world listen to these stories. By evening, Mike tried to pick up a shift at O'Brien's car wash. The manager shook his head, eyes apologetic but firm. "Sorry, Mike. Can't take you today." Mike frowned. "Why? I've worked here before." "Orders from higher up," the manager cut him off. Mike's stomach sank. His mother depended on her daily medication, and money was tight. This has to be connected. At a small diner, Rook, Gage Dalton's right-hand man, sipped his coffee and listened closely. Deputies whispered about Councilman Klein's plan to squeeze Mike. Rook's fingers tapped the table, already forming a plan. The sheriff's office was involved, the entire scheme aimed at pressuring a 16-year-old who had done nothing wrong. Later, at the school, Rook confronted Vice Principal Garner. He didn't yell or threaten. Instead, he leaned in, calm but sharp. "I know what happened in the hallway," he said, "and I know about your phone call. Cooperate, and this stays simple. Don't, and things get complicated." A few hours later, Rook arrived at Mike's modest home with a small bag from the pharmacy. He handed it to Mike. "Not a gift, not payment," Rook said. "This is so your mother stays alive. Don't sign anything anyone gives you without reading it first." Mike stared at the bag. Relief washed over him, followed by a gnawing fear. "They're trying to break me, but I won't let them." Rook placed a firm hand on Mike's shoulder. "Harper's father, Gage Dalton, doesn't like bullies. You did the right thing, but inaction has consequences. You'll need to document everything for your lawyer, Kara Holt. No mistakes." Mike nodded, determination settling in. His next steps would define everything. Cliffhanger. That night, a sharp knock on Mike's door made him jump. He peeked through the blinds, Sheriff Willis standing there with a threatening look, demanding Mike open the door. Mike's heart pounded. He knew any wrong move could put his mother in danger. Mike's hands shook as he watched the sheriff's shadow through the blinds. His mother, Evelyn, was in the kitchen, unaware of the tension building outside. If he gets in, Mike thought, heart racing. He remembered Rook's words. Don't open the door. Call for help. Slowly, Mike reached for his phone. His thumb hovered over the number for Kara Holt, the lawyer Rook had mentioned earlier. He dialed, trying to keep his voice steady. Mike Thompson? A calm voice answered. Kara, it's Mike, the sheriff. He's here. I don't know what to do, Mike stammered. Stay calm. Don't open the door. I've alerted state authorities. Help is on the way, Kara said firmly. Document everything you see or hear. Don't confront anyone yourself. Mike nodded, even though she couldn't see him. He set the phone down and retreated to the back of the trailer, heart pounding. Every knock on the door made him flinch. Hours later, after the sheriff left without entering, Mike stepped outside. His car was parked just beyond the porch, and one tire was shredded, a deliberate warning. He glanced around the trailer park. No one else seemed to notice. No neighbors, no cars. Only him. They're trying to scare me, he thought. But they won't succeed. Mike trudged to the diner where Rook was waiting, sipping a cup of coffee. They're escalating, Rook said without looking up. School administration, deputies, even the sheriff, all of it. Mike slumped into the booth. I just wanted to help Harper. And now this. Rook placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. You did the right thing. That's why they're targeting you. But you're not alone. We'll handle this methodically. First, we document. Every call, every threat, every action they take against you. At that moment, Kara Holt arrived, a folder in her hand and a determined look on her face. Mike, she said, sliding into the booth, here's the plan. We file formal complaints against the school, document the sheriff's intimidation tactics, and gather evidence of every harassment incident. You follow my lead. Mike listened intently, the weight on his shoulders easing slightly. What about Harper? He asked. She told me everything, Kara replied. Mason's father is already spreading lies, claiming you attacked his son. And there's been surveillance. Someone followed Harper to the diner. This is coordinated. Mike clenched his fists. They're trying to ruin me for standing up to bullies. First step, Kara continued, is to confront Mason directly, record everything, make sure he knows his words will be evidence in court. And don't worry, Mike, you'll have protection. Meanwhile, back at school, Linda Price, a janitor, had quietly agreed to come forward. She had seen the bullying firsthand, had witnessed Mike being hit. She was afraid, but her courage would be vital. Later, Mike overheard a chilling conversation. Mason, Tyler, and another student, Brent, were planning to lure Harper to the old boathouse after school. They spoke casually, as if planning a game, while Deputy Carver, a local lawman, helped coordinate roadblocks. Mike's stomach twisted. They're going to abduct her, he realized. I have to act, but I can't do it alone. He quickly called Kara, explaining the situation. Her voice was calm but sharp. Do not confront them, Mike. Stay at school. I'm making calls. Help is coming, but you must keep Harper safe without putting yourself in immediate danger. Mike paced the woods near the boathouse, his phone clutched tightly. He watched as Harper, unsuspecting, was guided toward the water's edge. The three boys and the deputy blocked her escape. This is it, Mike thought. I can't let them take her. He ran, sprinting through the underbrush, and burst onto the scene. Pulling out Harper's phone, he began recording, documenting every movement, every word. A low rumble of motorcycles approached. Mike's heart lifted, Gage Dalton and his biker club had arrived. Behind them, state patrol cruisers appeared, sirens flashing, lights cutting through the night. The kidnappers froze. Cliffhanger. Mason and the others realized they were trapped. Mike could see the panic in their eyes, but then Deputy Carver made a move, stepping forward, trying to assert control. Mike held his phone high, ready to capture everything. The night was far from over. Mike's heart pounded as the state patrol cruiser's lights cut through the darkness. Mason, Tyler, and Brent froze in their tracks, realizing too late that they were trapped. Harper's grip on Mike's arm tightened, fear etched into her face. "Let her go!" a booming voice echoed. It was Gage Dalton, stepping off his motorcycle, flanked by members of his club. The rumble of engines shook the ground as the bikers formed a protective circle around Mike and Harper. Deputy Carver tried to assert control, stepping forward with a badge flashed in the moonlight. "Everyone, stay where you are. This is county jurisdiction." Mike raised Harper's phone, recording everything. "We have everything on tape," he shouted. His voice carried over the tension, a warning to anyone considering resistance. Suddenly, another set of sirens wailed. State troopers arrived, floodlights piercing the night, pinning Mason in place. "Release the girl," one trooper ordered, spotlight trained on Mason's face. The kidnapper's smirks vanished. Brent stepped back, Tyler's face drained of color, and Deputy Carver hesitated, realizing the situation had escalated beyond his control. Harper pulled away from Mason's grasp, her small hands trembling but determined. Mike stayed close, phone raised, documenting the events in full. Every word, every movement, every expression was being recorded, a perfect record of premeditated intent. Meanwhile, Kara Holt, on her way to the scene, received Mike's call. "They're here," he said, voice urgent. "The bikers, state patrol. It's happening now." "I'm on my way," Kara replied calmly, already coordinating with local authorities. "Keep recording, Mike. Don't take any risks yourself." Within minutes, troopers detained Mason, Tyler, and Brent, cuffing them with precision. Deputy Carver was separated, still trying to assert his authority, but state officials quickly shut him down. Mike continued recording, making sure every detail was captured. One trooper discovered a black duffel bag near the boathouse. Inside were zip ties, duct tape, a prepaid phone, and a photograph of Harper, proof of the kidnapper's premeditated plan. Mike's heart sank as he realized how close Harper had come to real danger. At the diner, Kara received a call. Someone in a county jacket had been spotted near Mike's trailer. Alarm surged through her. "Mike's mother might be at risk," she muttered, already preparing to alert authorities. Back at the trailer, Mike arrived to a dark, tense scene. Evelyn's eyes widened as she saw the shadowy figure fleeing from the porch. Her bag of medication, essential for her health, was missing. The intruder had clearly intended to create a medical emergency, to force Mike into desperation. A state trooper arrived moments later, carefully examining the scene. Under the sink, a baggie of white powder was found, a clear attempt to frame Mike for something he hadn't done. Outside, a county pool vehicle registered to the sheriff's office sped away. Every detail pointed to a coordinated plan to intimidate and falsely incriminate him. Mike's mind raced. "They're using everything they can to break me, but they'll fail." Kara and Rook arrived shortly after, working alongside state investigators. Every corner of Mike's trailer was documented. Calls were traced, threats recorded, and evidence preserved. Sheriff Willis showed up, attempting to intimidate Mike. But state troopers were already photographing his SUV, requesting logs and personal devices. His calm facade cracked under scrutiny. Mike stood firm, heart steady, watching the corrupt system begin to unravel. Cliffhanger. In the shadows, a figure in a county jacket watched from across the street, disappearing into the night. Mike knew this wasn't over. Someone was still targeting his mother, and the real test of courage was only beginning. The next morning, Mike awoke to a quiet that felt almost unnatural. Every creak in the trailer, every wind gust against the siding made him tense. His mother, Evelyn, was already up, carefully organizing her medications. Mike's eyes scanned the room, wary of any signs of intrusion. Rook arrived shortly after sunrise, a grim expression on his face. "They're not done," he said. "Councilman Klein and Sheriff Willis have been making calls. They're trying to sabotage every step you take." Mike rubbed his eyes, frustration and fear mixing into determination. "I can't let them win. Harper, my mom, I have to keep them safe." At the diner, Kara Holt laid out a comprehensive plan. "We document every action from here on. The school board, the sheriff's office, even local deputies who were involved. Linda Price has agreed to testify. Her statement will be invaluable." Mike nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. At 16, he had become the focal point of a battle between corrupt authority and the courage to do what's right. Later that day, Mike met Harper at school. Mason and Tyler tried to smirk at them, but their confidence had faded after the previous night. Mike remained calm, raising his phone subtly, recording their expressions and movements. Harper whispered, "They're spreading lies about you, Mike, saying you attacked Mason." Mike's jaw tightened. "I know, but we have evidence. Kara's on it. They won't get away with this." Rook had already confronted Vice Principal Garner again, ensuring the security footage from the hallway incident was preserved. Every call, every order from the sheriff's office, and every intimidation tactic was being tracked meticulously. Even as the day went on, threats continued. Kara received calls that her car had been towed from the school parking lot, supposedly due to expired registration, a clear act of harassment orchestrated by the county. But they were ready. Nothing was left unchecked. In the afternoon, Mike overheard a chilling conversation near the old gym. Mason, Tyler, and Brent were planning another attempt to intimidate Harper, discussing routes, timings, even how to use certain county vehicles. Mike froze. His pulse raced. "They're relentless," he thought. "But we have proof now. We can stop them." Mike called Kara immediately. "They're planning something again, near the old gym right after school." "Stay where you are. Don't confront them. I've notified state authorities. They'll be watching," Kara replied. Mike exhaled slowly, heart still hammering. He knew this was only the beginning, but for the first time, he felt the system shifting in his favor. That evening, Mike returned home to find the trailer park quieter than usual. Shadows moved in the distance. Evelyn's medication bag had been returned, carefully placed at the doorstep. But the fear lingered. Someone was still watching, still testing their resolve. Rook and Kara arrived, reviewing security footage and phone logs. Every piece of evidence painted the same picture: a coordinated attempt to intimidate a young boy for standing up to bullies, orchestrated by powerful adults. Mike sat back, exhausted but resolute. "We're ready for them," he said quietly, "no matter what comes next." Cliffhanger. Just as they finished reviewing the evidence, Mike's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You think it's over? We're just getting started. Watch your back." The night air was thick with tension. Mike walked slowly toward the boathouse, the beam of his flashlight cutting through the misty darkness. Every step crunched on the gravel, every snap of a twig made him flinch. He held Harper's hand tightly, trying to calm her trembling. "Mike, what if they come back?" Harper whispered, voice barely audible. "We've got people watching," he replied, though his own heart raced. "The bikers, the state troopers. No one's going to hurt you." Despite his words, Mike's mind ran 1,000 scenarios. What if Deputy Carver tried something again? What if Mason and his friends had another plan? Every shadow in the woods seemed like a threat. He glanced at Harper, seeing her trust him completely, and felt a surge of responsibility. He couldn't fail. Before they could reach the boathouse, a low rumble rolled through the trees. Mike froze, listening. The Dalton bikers were arriving, engines echoing in the night. Their headlights pierced through the mist, illuminating the scene with harsh, almost cinematic light. Mike's stomach twisted in both relief and adrenaline. Suddenly, movement by the boat dock caught his eye. Mason, Tyler, and Brent were trying to hide a duffel bag behind the reeds. Mike's heart sank. He realized they weren't done. They had planned something new, another trap, another intimidation. He quickly pulled out Harper's phone, holding it steady. "We record everything," he whispered. Every breath, every step, every nervous glance would become evidence. From the shadows, Rook emerged, whispering, "Mike, the State Patrol is on their way. Just hold tight." Time seemed to stretch. The mist thickened, wrapping around the boathouse like a cloak. Mike's thoughts raced. If we get this on tape, they can't deny it. But if we misstep, Harper could be in danger. Before we continue, I'm curious. Where are you watching this story from? Write your city in the comments. I read them all, and it's amazing to see how many people from around the world listen to these stories. The minutes dragged on. Mike crouched behind a tree, flashlight sweeping over the dock. The boys were moving nervously, unaware that every move was being recorded. Mike could hear faint footsteps approaching from the other side of the lake, the State Patrol, carefully surrounding the area. Then, in a heartbeat, Mason lunged toward Harper. Mike sprang forward, shouting, "No!" His phone captured everything. Harper stumbled back, but the bikers and troopers had already positioned themselves, cornering the kidnappers. Tyler froze, Brent dropped the duffel bag, and Mason's confident smirk faltered. The troopers moved in swiftly, cuffs clicking, flashlights shining directly on the boys. Deputy Carver tried to intervene, but a state officer stepped forward firmly, stopping him. "Step back. This is federal jurisdiction now." Harper pulled herself free from Mason's grip, her face pale but determined. Mike lowered his phone slightly, relief washing over him. Every threat, every intimidation tactic had been recorded. The evidence was undeniable. Meanwhile, Kara Holt received another call from an anonymous tip. Someone in a county jacket had been spotted near Mike's trailer. Her face hardened. "They're still trying to get to his mother," she muttered. "We need to move fast." Back at the trailer, Mike found Evelyn shaken but unharmed. Her medication had been returned, but the fear of another attempt lingered. Mike sat beside her, holding her hand. "They won't get to you," he whispered, more to reassure himself than her. Rook arrived soon after, sharing updates. The bag of evidence at the boathouse, the footage from the phone, even the sheriff's records, they're all documented. We have everything we need. They can't hide this anymore. Mike exhaled, a mix of exhaustion and relief. The night had been long, terrifying, and exhausting, but it had worked. They had survived, and the corrupt system had been exposed one step further. Cliffhanger. But as Mike looked out the window toward the woods, he saw a lone figure standing silently near the tree line, watching. Someone had slipped past the patrol. Mike's heart sank. This wasn't over. Mike's hands trembled slightly as he stared out the window. The figure in the tree line hadn't moved, just standing there, silent and watching. The mist clung to the forest, and the shadows made it impossible to see clearly. Mike swallowed hard. He had faced Mason, Tyler, Brent, corrupt deputies, and even the sheriff. But this felt different. This was unknown, unpredictable. Rook leaned beside him, eyes narrowing. "That's not one of the kids. Someone's testing us. Maybe trying to see how we react. Could be tied to Klein or Willis. We need to stay sharp." Mike nodded, glancing at his mother. Evelyn was quietly arranging her medications again, unaware of how close danger had been tonight. Mike felt the weight of responsibility settle over him like a heavy blanket. The phone buzzed. Kara Holt's voice came through, steady and commanding. "Mike, don't confront anyone. The State Patrol is on high alert, and we're coordinating with local authorities. Stay inside, keep records, and do not engage." Mike exhaled. He wanted to rush outside, confront whoever was watching, but he knew Kara was right. Every action had to be calculated, every move documented. Outside, the figure shifted slightly and stepped back into the shadows. Mike grabbed Harper's phone, checking the camera. Nothing clear yet, but he knew every second was important. Minutes later, a patrol car arrived, floodlights cutting through the darkness. The figure bolted, disappearing into the woods. Mike's heart pounded. "They're still out there," he muttered, tension radiating from his voice. Rook put a hand on his shoulder. "Yeah, but we've forced them to reveal themselves. They can't operate in the open anymore. This is the moment we turn the tables." Kara arrived shortly after, bringing with her folders of documentation. "Mike, every threat, every harassment attempt, every intimidation tactic, now we have the evidence organized. Sheriff Willis, Councilman Klein, Deputy Carver, it's all here. The state investigators will move fast." Mike felt a small sense of relief, though the adrenaline still coursed through his veins. He glanced at Harper, who had stayed quiet but vigilant. "We're safe. For now," he said. The next day at school, Mason and Tyler were absent. Rumors spread quickly. Formal complaints had been filed, state patrol involvement confirmed. Linda Price, the janitor, had bravely given her statement, corroborating Mike's account of the bullying. Mike sat quietly in class, feeling the weight lift slowly. He had faced threats, intimidation, and danger, but his courage and careful documentation had prevailed. The system was finally beginning to answer for itself. That evening, Mike returned home to find his mother smiling, the tension in her shoulders slightly eased. Rook and Kara were there, going over the final steps of their legal strategy. Every call, every video clip, every shred of evidence had been preserved. "Mike," Kara said, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder, "you did the right thing. Standing up to bullies isn't just about one fight. It's about showing courage, integrity, and protecting the people you care about. You've done that." Mike nodded, exhausted but proud. He thought of Harper, his mother, and the bikers who had protected them. Every step of danger had brought them closer to justice. Cliffhanger. Just as the group began to relax, Rook's phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number appeared. "You think it's over? Think again. We've only just begun." Mike's stomach dropped. Even with the legal system and state patrol on their side, the real world had a long memory, and some people never let go. The following morning, Mike woke up to the sound of distant engines rumbling through the trailer park. He froze for a moment, heart racing, before realizing it was the Dalton bikers on their routine patrol. The presence of the bikers brought him a strange mixture of reassurance and tension. He knew they were ready to protect him, but he also knew the threat wasn't completely gone. Rook arrived shortly after with Kara, carrying stacks of documents. "State investigators are moving fast," Kara said firmly. "They've already served Willis and Carver with preservation orders. We're getting records from the sheriff's office, school board, even county communications. Every intimidation attempt is being traced." Mike leaned back, trying to process it all. "So, it's really over?" he asked, doubt creeping into his voice. Kara shook her head gently. "Not completely. People like Klein and Willis don't give up easily. But right now, we're in control. You've done everything by the book, Mike. You've protected Harper, your mother, and yourself. Now it's their turn to answer for their actions." At school, Harper walked beside Mike, whispering updates. "I heard Mason's father is trying to spin things, saying you attacked him again," she said, her voice anxious. Mike sighed. "Let them spin. Kara and the state have all the footage. They can't lie anymore." He glanced at his phone, checking the latest recordings. Every confrontation, every threat, every shadowy figure had been documented. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a sense of empowerment. Later that afternoon, Rook and Mike returned to the trailer to ensure Evelyn was safe. The house seemed quiet, almost serene after days of chaos. Evelyn greeted him with a small smile, relief evident in her eyes. Mike handed her a cup of tea, trying to stay calm despite knowing that danger could appear at any moment. Suddenly, Rook's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and stiffened. "State Patrol spotted a suspicious vehicle near the edge of the park," he said, eyes narrowing. "Could be related to the Klein group. We need to check immediately." Mike grabbed his jacket. "I'll go," he said, but Rook shook his head. "No, we move together. Safety in numbers. You've done enough running. Let's finish this the right way." They approached the parked car cautiously. From inside, a figure watched them silently. As soon as Rook called out, the vehicle sped away, tires screeching, disappearing into the distance. Mike's heart was pounding, but he felt a spark of determination. This ends tonight, he thought. Later that evening, Kara received confirmation from the state. Willis and Carver were formally charged with obstruction, intimidation, and evidence tampering. Klein was under investigation for harassment and abuse of influence. The legal machinery was finally catching up to those who had tried to destroy Mike's life. Mike sat with Harper and Evelyn, watching the sun set through the trailer window. The tension in the air had eased, though the fight had not completely ended. Mike thought of all the moments, the fear, the running, the quiet surveillance, the courage it had taken to record every move and stay calm under pressure. Rook broke the silence. "You did more than anyone could expect, Mike. Standing up to bullies, protecting Harper, staying focused when everything was against you. You've set an example." Mike nodded, swallowing back the mix of pride and exhaustion. The fear and chaos hadn't vanished completely, but for the first time, he felt that he could breathe. Cliffhanger. Just as the group began to relax, Rook's phone buzzed again. This time, the message was different. "You think you've won, but there are more eyes watching. Be ready." Mike's stomach dropped. Even with state investigators and bikers on their side, the world outside could still throw unexpected challenges. He clenched his fists. Whatever came next, he knew they were ready to face it. The following morning, Mike woke up to the sound of distant engines rumbling through the trailer park. He froze for a moment, heart racing, before realizing it was the Dalton bikers on their routine patrol. The presence of the bikers brought him a strange mixture of reassurance and tension. He knew they were ready to protect him, but he also knew the threat wasn't completely gone. Rook arrived shortly after with Kara, carrying stacks of documents. "State investigators are moving fast," Kara said firmly. "They've already served Willis and Carver with preservation orders. We're getting records from the sheriff's office, school board, even county communications. Every intimidation attempt is being traced." Mike leaned back, trying to process it all. "So, it's really over?" he asked, doubt creeping into his voice. Kara shook her head gently. "Not completely. People like Klein and Willis don't give up easily. But right now, we're in control. You've done everything by the book, Mike. You've protected Harper, your mother, and yourself. Now it's their turn to answer for their actions." At school, Harper walked beside Mike, whispering updates. "I heard Mason's father is trying to spin things, saying you attacked him again," she said, her voice anxious. Mike sighed. "Let them spin. Kara and the state have all the footage. They can't lie anymore." He glanced at his phone, checking the latest recordings. Every confrontation, every threat, every shadowy figure had been documented. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a sense of empowerment. Later that afternoon, Rook and Mike returned to the trailer to ensure Evelyn was safe. The house seemed quiet, almost serene after days of chaos. Evelyn greeted him with a small smile, relief evident in her eyes. Mike handed her a cup of tea, trying to stay calm despite knowing that danger could appear at any moment. Suddenly, Rook's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and stiffened. State Patrol spotted a suspicious vehicle near the edge of the park, he said, eyes narrowing. Could be related to the Klein group. We need to check immediately. Mike grabbed his jacket. I'll go, he said, but Rook shook his head. No, we move together. Safety in numbers. You've done enough running. Let's finish this the right way. They approached the parked car cautiously. From inside, a figure watched them silently. As soon as Rook called out, the vehicle sped away, tires screeching, disappearing into the distance. Mike's heart was pounding, but he felt a spark of determination. This ends tonight, he thought. Later that evening, Kara received confirmation from the state. Willis and Carver were formally charged with obstruction, intimidation, and evidence tampering. Klein was under investigation for harassment and abuse of influence. The legal machinery was finally catching up to those who had tried to destroy Mike's life. Mike sat with Harper and Evelyn, watching the sunset through the trailer window. The tension in the air had eased, though the fight had not completely ended. Mike thought of all the moments, the fear, the running, the quiet surveillance, the courage it had taken to record every move and stay calm under pressure. Rook broke the silence. You did more than anyone could expect, Mike. Standing up to bullies, protecting Harper, staying focused when everything was against you. You've set an example. Mike nodded, swallowing back the mix of pride and exhaustion. The fear and chaos hadn't vanished completely, but for the first time, he felt that he could breathe. Cliffhanger. Just as the group began to relax, Rook's phone buzzed again. This time, the message was different. You think you've won, but there are more eyes watching. Be ready. Mike's stomach dropped. Even with state investigators and bikers on their side, the world outside could still throw unexpected challenges. He clenched his fists. Whatever came next, he knew they were ready to face it. The next morning, Mike awoke to a strange calm. The trailer park seemed quieter than usual, almost eerie. He knew better than to trust silence. After everything that had happened, it always meant something was brewing. Kara arrived early, carrying thick folders of documentation. Mike, she said firmly, today we finish this. Every piece of evidence we've gathered, footage from your phone, witness statements, records from the sheriff's office, it's all ready. Klein, Willis, Carver, they're about to face the consequences of their actions. Mike's jaw tightened. For months, he had felt powerless, watching corrupt officials and wealthy parents manipulate the system to intimidate him. Now, with Kara and Rook by his side, he finally felt a sense of control. At the diner where Rook had first started gathering intel, the group convened. Mike reviewed the footage one last time, watching the bullying, the threats, even the attempts to intimidate his mother. Each clip was a testament to what he had endured and survived. Rook leaned over. State patrol units are coordinating with Kara to serve all notices and evidence. Mason, Tyler, and Brent are being summoned. You're not walking into this alone, Mike. The tension was palpable. Every sound of traffic outside made Mike flinch. Every distant engine sent a shiver down his spine. But he kept his focus. This was the moment where truth would finally confront corruption. At school, Mason and Tyler were visibly uneasy. They had heard rumors about state investigators and Kara Holt's actions, but nothing prepared them for what was coming. When Mike and Kara entered the office with Rook, Mason's smirk faltered. Mike, you can't do this, Mason stammered, glancing around nervously. Kara raised a folder. Everything you did, recorded, documented, verified. Your father's attempts to manipulate the sheriff, Deputy Carver's illegal roadblock, your intimidation tactics, they're all here. You're accountable now. Tyler tried to interject, but Mike held up a hand. Not a word. Just listen. All lies, all threats, everything is documented. You can't deny it. Outside, state patrol cars lined the street. Officers moved with precision, coordinating with Kara and Rook to ensure no one could escape accountability. The duffel bags, the zip ties, the prepaid phones, all evidence of the premeditated abduction attempt, were submitted to investigators. Harper watched silently, holding her backpack tightly. Mike glanced at her, sharing a brief, reassuring nod. The terror, the fear, the months of bullying, it was ending. Back at the trailer, Evelyn finally exhaled fully. Mike set her medications down, double-checking everything. For the first time in weeks, she didn't glance nervously at the door or windows. "You did it, Mike," she said softly, tears in her eyes. "You protected me. You protected Harper. And you stood up for what's right." Mike smiled faintly, exhaustion and relief washing over him. He had faced threats, corruption, intimidation, but through courage, patience, and careful planning, he had survived and ensured justice was served. Cliffhanger. Just as Mike leaned back, exhausted but victorious, his phone buzzed again. A message appeared from an unknown number. "You've won this battle, but the war is not over. Watch your back." Mike's stomach tightened. Even with legal victories, bikers' protection, and state involvement, the world was full of unseen eyes and unexpected dangers. But this time, he knew one thing. He was ready. The morning sun spilled across the trailer park, but Mike didn't feel the warmth. His mind was still racing, replaying every threat, every shadow, every moment of fear from the past weeks. Yet beneath the anxiety, a sense of determination had begun to grow. Kara called him early, voice firm. "State investigators have compiled everything. Willis, Carver, and Klein are facing formal charges. Their actions will be on record. Today you don't just defend yourself, you see justice happen." Mike nodded, steeling himself. He had waited for this day, and the months of intimidation and fear had only made him stronger. At the school, Mike met Harper outside the administration building. She gave him a small, nervous smile. "Are you ready?" she asked. He returned it with a steady nod. "As ready as I'll ever be." Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Mason and Tyler were flanked by their parents and a few nervous lawyers. But the state patrol officers were already present, and Kara had everything organized. Mike's phone and Harper's recordings were cued to play. The room grew silent as the videos rolled. Mason pushing Harper, the threats, the attempts to lure her to the boathouse, and the deputy blocking the road. Every act, every detail, meticulously documented. Mason's father tried to speak, but Kara cut him off sharply. "Your lies end here. Every intimidation, every false accusation, you've left a paper trail. Your influence will not protect you." Outside the building, Rook coordinated with bikers and patrol officers. "We've cornered all avenues. No threats, no harassment, nothing goes unaccounted for," he said, watching Mike and Harper inside. Minutes felt like hours. Then the verdicts began to filter in. Willis was formally charged with obstruction, intimidation, and evidence tampering. Carver faced arrest for his roadblock and complicity in the abduction plan. Klein was under investigation for harassment, abuse of influence, and coordinating intimidation. Mike felt a strange mix of relief and lingering tension. The immediate danger was neutralized, but the messages from unknown sources reminded him. Vigilance was still necessary. Back at the trailer, Evelyn was waiting. Mike set her medications on the counter, double-checking that nothing had been tampered with. Her eyes glistened with tears, a mixture of relief and pride. "You did it," she said softly. "You stood up to everyone. You protected Harper, and you protected me. You didn't back down." Mike felt the weight of exhaustion finally hit him, but beneath it, a quiet pride. Months of fear, threats, and uncertainty had led to this moment. Justice, finally, had a face. Harper hugged him quickly. "Thank you, Mike. I don't know what I would have done without you." Mike smiled faintly. "We did it together. No one stands alone." Evening came, and the trailer park finally felt calm. The biker's engines rumbled in the distance as a reassurance rather than a warning. Kara called again, confirming that all evidence had been submitted and all key threats neutralized. Mike sat on the porch with Harper, Evelyn beside him, and Rook keeping watch. For the first time in weeks, they could breathe. Outside, the world still had shadows, still had dangers, but for now, they were safe. Cliffhanger. Just as Mike began to relax, a message appeared on his phone, anonymous and brief. "You've survived this battle, but some debts never disappear. Be ready." Mike looked at Harper and Evelyn, his expression determined. Whatever came next, he knew one thing. He was no longer powerless. The following morning, Mike woke up to sunlight streaming through the trailer blinds. For the first time in weeks, he didn't feel the edge of fear pressing against him. The trailer park seemed quieter, more peaceful, almost like it had taken a collective sigh of relief. Kara called with the latest updates. "All formal charges are moving forward. Willis and Carver are officially under investigation, and Klein's abuse of influence is being documented at the county level. The legal system is finally catching up to the people who tried to destroy your life." Mike exhaled, letting the relief wash over him. Months of threats, intimidation, and near-constant stress had finally begun to fade. Harper ran up to him, backpack slung over one shoulder. "Mike, guess what? The school board is implementing new safety protocols because of what happened. They're taking bullying seriously now," she said, eyes wide with excitement. Mike smiled. "That's good news. You deserve to feel safe here, Harper." Evelyn appeared from the kitchen, holding a cup of tea. "I can't thank you enough, Mike. You saved more than just Harper. You saved me too. I never thought we'd make it through all that." Mike shook his head, a small smile forming. "We all did it together. Standing up for what's right isn't easy, but it works when you don't give up." Over the next few days, Mike settled into a new rhythm. Gage Dalton, Harper's father, visited the trailer, offering support. "You did the right thing, Mike. Bullies like that? They only respect courage. You showed them what that looks like." He even offered Mike an apprenticeship at his garage, outside the reach of corrupt county influence. "You're sharp, you're brave, and you've got integrity. You'll do well here," Gage said. Mike felt a wave of gratitude. Not only had he protected Harper, but he had found mentorship and a place where he could build a future. Kara and Rook worked tirelessly to finalize the youth safety program in Black River, using the legal channels and evidence gathered to ensure funding and support. Mike attended the first session, watching younger kids engage in anti-bullying lessons, learning how to protect themselves, and understanding the importance of standing up for others. Seeing the kids, Mike thought of how far he had come, from being targeted and powerless to being a protector and role model. The world was far from perfect, but he could make a difference in his own corner of it. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Mike sat on the porch with Harper and Evelyn, looking at the horizon. The memories of threats, intimidation, and fear were still there, but they felt distant, like ghosts that no longer had power over him. Rook parked his bike nearby, giving Mike a nod of respect. "You did good, Mike. Real good." Mike looked at Harper and Evelyn, then at the fading light. "We survived. We fought. And now, we can start living." Harper leaned against him. "Thank you for everything, Mike. Really." Mike smiled, the tension finally leaving his shoulders. The battles hadn't been easy, and the scars would remain, but justice had been served, and their lives could finally move forward. Final cliffhanger, light for continuation if needed. Mike's phone buzzed one last time. A simple message. "The world will always test you, but you're stronger than you think." He read it, then put the phone down, letting the moment of peace settle in. For the first time in months, Mike felt safe. The storm had passed, and he had emerged not just unbroken, but stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever came next. If you enjoyed this part of the story, make sure to hit like and subscribe to see more. Your support helps these stories reach more people around the world.